Okay, if you're a contractor, you know what I'm talking about. The mountain of pre-qualification paperwork seems to be getting bigger every single day, right? It's a lot. And let's be real, it can be super overwhelming. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on one of the biggest names in this whole game, ISNetworld.
So, sound familiar? Has a big client ever sent you that email? The one with the link asking you to join ISNetworld? Yeah, if you're nodding along right now, you know that little knot that forms in your stomach. It's like, okay, what is this really? What am I getting myself into here?
And look, here's why you absolutely have to pay attention. This is so much more than just paperwork. It's your ticket. It's your ticket to getting the work. And maybe even more importantly, it's your ticket to getting paid for that work. Seriously, getting this right is absolutely critical. And you'll see it's not just a roadblock, it's actually a gateway to bigger and better jobs.
But hey, don't sweat it. We've got a roadmap for you. We're going to cover the why, the what, then we'll get into a checklist of exactly what you need. After that, some insider tips for success, and finally, how to stay ahead of the game. Ready? All right, let's jump in.
So, first up, why is this even a thing? Why does it feel like this stuff is everywhere now? Well, it's pretty simple, actually. The big companies, the ones that hire you, in the industry, they're often called owner clients. They're all trying to manage risk. And systems like ISNetworld are their way of trying to streamline that whole process and vet all the contractors they work with.
Okay, so that leads us right to the main event. What is ISNetworld, really? Let's break this thing down.
You know, the easiest way to think about it is like a standardized report card for your company. Seriously, it's this one central hub where a potential client can go look you up and see your grades on everything, your safety record, your insurance, all your business info before they even decide to give you a call.
And here's how it works step by step. First, the big client, the owner client. They set the rules. They decide what matters to them. Then you go in and build your company profile with all your info. Step 3, ISNetworld crunches the numbers and gives you a grade. But here's the kicker. That grade is based on that client's specific rules, which means, and this is so important, you could have a perfect A with one client and a C with another, all inside the exact same system. It's all relative to who's looking. So you can really see there are two sides to this whole thing, right? For the big clients, it's all about managing risk. It's a filter to weed out companies that aren't serious. But for you, the contractor, it's your platform. It's your chance to prove you've got your act together, that you're a professional. And, like we said before, it's very often a hard requirement for getting those invoices paid. All right, let's shift gears and get into the real nuts and bolts, the practical stuff. You need to get that passing grade. So, what does that actually take? We've boiled it all down to the top 10 things you're going to need.
Yep, 10. We're going to walk through 10 key things you need to have on hand. And the great thing is, if you get these 10 items sorted out, you're not just ready for ISNetworld. You're going to be in a fantastic spot for pretty much any pre-qualification system that comes your way.
Okay, let's start with part 1, the company foundations. This is kind of the easy stuff, the basics. We're talking about your general company info, things like your tax ID, your DUNS number, which is basically a social security number for your business, and your NAICS codes, which just tell them what kind of work you do. Then you'll need your insurance certificates and your EMR. That's your experience modification rate. It's just a number that basically scores your company's safety history. This is the bedrock, the foundation of your whole profile.
All right, part 2. This is where we get into the heavy lifting, your safety documentation. This is where you're going to need to have your detailed written safety programs ready to go. Think all those OSHA-based programs for whatever specific hazards your crew faces. And it's not enough to just have the programs, you've got to have the training records to prove that your team actually knows this stuff.
And this is a huge warning, so listen up. That quote on the screen says it all. If it's written in your program that your company will do something, you need to do it. Whatever you put in those safety manuals, you are legally promising to do. If you say you'll do a daily check, you'd better be doing it. Because if you don't, you're not just failing your ISN grade, you could be setting yourself up for massive fines from someone like OSHA.
Okay, last chunk here, part 3. This is all the stuff that's not a one-and-done deal. This is the ongoing maintenance. You're talking about uploading your OSHA logs every quarter, tracking all your employee hours and miles on site. You'll even get hit with questionnaires about things like cybersecurity and sustainability. And on top of all that, you have to manage all the site-specific training for every single person on the job. It's a living, breathing thing.
Whew. Okay, so now you've got the checklist. But just having the list isn't enough. Let's talk about how to play the game smart. I want to share some insider tips that are going to save you from some major headaches and help you sidestep the most common pitfalls.
So, Let me ask you this. What do you think is the #1 rookie mistake contractors make when they're filling out their profile? It's something that seems totally innocent, but it can unleash an absolute avalanche of paperwork.
Here it is. The biggest mistake is listing too many services. You see that big, scary list? That's what happens when you check off every single thing your company could possibly do. For every service you list, ISNetworld might require a separate safety program. It creates a paperwork nightmare. The pro move? Only list the specific services you're doing for that client. Keep it lean. You can always add more later.
And here's another number you have to burn into your brain. 3 years. Your grade, your score in ISNetworld, is usually based on a 3-year rolling average of your safety stats. That means one bad year, 1 year with a few too many incidents, can haunt you and drag your score down for 3 full years. It's a long-term game.
All right, a few more quick pro tips for you. First, read those insurance requirements very carefully. They can be super expensive, but sometimes, just sometimes, they're negotiable, so it's worth asking. Also, check if your insurance agent is an ISN member. A lot of them are, and they can upload all that stuff for you, which is a huge time saver. And finally, remember the silver lining here. Look, if you can conquer ISNetworld, which is one of the toughest systems out there, you are basically ready for anything. You're showing the world you're a serious player.
Okay, so you've done all the work. You've got your A. But the work isn't over. Getting set up is just round 1. Staying compliant is the real challenge. So in this last section, let's build a plan to maintain that grade for the long haul.
It's actually a pretty simple plan, but it's super effective. Step 1. Put one person in charge. You need a dedicated point person, because if that grade drops, your payments could literally stop. It's that serious. Step 2. That person doesn't have to be a superhero. Empower them to pull in your experts from HR, IT, or safety whenever they need help. And Step 3. Create one central place for all of your documents. A shared drive, a folder, whatever. Just make it easy to find everything. You'll thank me later.
So I want to leave you with this one final thought. It is so easy to look at all of this and see a gatekeeper, right? Just another hurdle you have to jump over. But what if you flip that around? What if you started to see it as a gateway? Because when you build a solid system to handle this stuff, you're not just checking a box. You're building a strategic advantage. You're creating your ticket to more work, better clients, and real growth.